but there is this warbling low frequency sound as well that is really interesting and engaging to the ear. And it has like a wah effect of its own going
Yeah.
on. The closest thing I could compare it to is a wah. It's definitely got some wah, 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 but it's lower. It's not that wah, 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 wah. Really, really cool stuff. And I loved that. Hey, everybody out there. Welcome back to another episode of the Audiophiles. I'm Andy, and the fellow over there is John. And we get together, we offer each other songs, we go off and listen to it, and then we come back and we chop it up a bit. And on today's episode, John is going to be offering up a song for me to go off and check out. But in order to do that, I'm going to need to know the name of the artist and the track. John, what do you say?
So, the band is Air.
Air. Okay. Nothing. Coming up empty.
Oh, okay. Just as a side note, when we both started on Into the Music with Greg, hi Greg. Um, I think it was. I have to check. I should have checked. I think it was the second video ever gave me to watch was Air, and it
Oh,
was a song I
really?
knew, and but it was a live version, and it blew my mind because it was so much better than the album, which I love the album version. So yeah, I know this band pretty well. Really like their stuff. Something a bit different. So I'm giving you a well, I'll explain later, but the track is called "All I Need" (brackets extended version brackets), and
Okay,
you'll find
okay.
out what that means afterwards.
Yeah, 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 yeah. All right. Cool. Well, then, I mean, if you like it and Greg likes them, then I feel like that's a pretty
No
ringing
chance.
endorsement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, let's spin it that way. It's probably gonna be shit. No. I was actually gonna say you both have pretty good taste, so I might dig this thing. I've got high hopes. Let me go off, give it a listen, and I will come back and let you know what I think. Like R2D2. Horns. Little bass. Synthy digital sounds. Nice bass. So much assembly of sound here. We've talked about this in the past where the way the song is constructed, and it's usually on these like 5.5 to 9-minute songs where they just kind of let everything breathe. Again, apropos that the band's name is Air, because there is this airiness to it, but it allows it to breathe. They assemble all these different parts and fit it in, and then judiciously fade them in and out, and we're already getting um that sort of tact to writing or assembling music just in a minute and 36 into this. And I love it. It's so atmospheric, and has like just these really transy vibes to them that you can just get lost in. It's the kind of sound and technique that can make a 7 or 8 minute song go by in a flash. And I'm not going to be surprised in the least bit if this sticks to that motif. And by the time we get to the end of the song, I'm like, wow, that happened so fast. Um, but yeah, I really, really like this. This is just super cool and hip. I love that bass line. Um, Little like a wah like guitar, just some simple rim hits on the drums, and all this wonderful digital chicanery going on. It's just great. Organ. Switch up. Interesting. Back to that original bass motif. Ooh, some pretty acoustic guitar in there.
All I need a little time to get behind the sun and cast my weight. All I need is peace this mind. I can celebrate.
She's got a gorgeous voice, and it too is airy. And it fits this style so well. It kind of like lands on the music like a feather falling down, and just perfectly nestles its way into the track and the mix. I love the way she sounds. It's a beautiful voice.
All in all, there's something to give. All in all,
Oh, that's pretty.
there's something to do. All in all, there's something to live with you. With you. All I need is a little sign to get behind the sun and cast his way. All I need's a place to find, and there I'll celebrate. to live with you. With you. All I need.
What is that? This low frequency, like warbling wah like effect on whatever the hell that is. I don't know. But it sounds really cool the way it like comes into focus. It's like blurry for like, but not a visuals like, blurry. It's like lost a little bit, and then it comes into like auditory focus as it's marching its way into the song. God, this is really, really good. And again, these really great production techniques of how the sounds come and go and swell um and fade. It's like the tides. It's really, really interesting. God, I could get lost in the song. So insistent. Almost like flute or something. Shut up. Yeah, just as I suspected. Yeah, I'm just kind of mumbling to myself there, but this is when exactly from that 136 marker on when exactly as I would have guessed. You can just close your eyes and this will wash over you. Um, and happen so quickly. It's just like when you hit the snooze button, when you wake up and you hit the snooze button on your alarm, that 10-minute interval goes by quicker than any other 10-minute interval throughout your day. That one where you just want to get a respite and go back to sleep for a little bit. Those 10 minutes seem to happen so fast. And this was similar. These 8 minutes went by so fast. And you get lost in all these really interesting, not only sounds and instruments, but the techniques and how they're used. Some with these elongated sustain bits, and then others that come and go uh, so fleeting, so quickly. And all of that just gets thrown into this pot, and you get this really, really interesting atmospheric song. I didn't think I was going to get vocals in this. I didn't think there was going to be a singer. We got one, and she had a beautiful voice. It actually reminded me, I can't put my finger on it, but something else that John's given me in the past. It's just not jumping out to me, but there is this weird air of familiarity to her sound. So, I don't know who she is, but I know I like what she's doing. Oh God, man. for all the really interesting parts going on here, the bass was really lovely. And just again lent to that whole entranced vibe that the song gives off and honestly ropes its listener into experiencing. Yeah, this is a great tune, man. This is I mean, it's obviously not going to be like a top 40 hit on the radio, but it's very rare that I love a top 40. This is like something you just put on for the sake of hearing greatness. Yeah, man. I really enjoyed this. I'd be interested to learn more about the band, and you guys know what's coming next. We're going to have to get back to John so he can fill me in on all the details. But yeah, wonderful experience. Great shout, John. I really, really enjoyed this one.
Sasha Distel, he's back. So you've listened to Air, All I Need, brackets, extended version, brackets. What do you think?
Yeah, it sounded really extended. No, I have nothing to compare that to whatsoever at all. But it did sound really good. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. This is another one of those. God, you've given me plenty of them, and a lot of them are either instrumentals or really rely on instrumentals as like the meat of what the song is. This one wasn't a complete instrumental, as I'll get into, but it had all of that, that assembly that we've talked about in the past, where you just start building on it, and then what you've built, you alter the length and duration that they exist in any given part, and it builds familiarity because you start to understand what instruments there are, but it's not predictable, and they change things here and there, and when that is your like ethos when you're writing a song, they can be 6, 8, 10 minutes in length without becoming, stagnant or, just like sameish. So when I first saw the 8 minute, whatever, the 750 something or whatever it was, I said, oh, this is an extended version. No complaints, but this is a pretty meaty song. But then, I mean, I must have got to a minute 30 tops into this song, and I knew that it was going to be the appropriate length for this song. Like that this was going to go by very quickly, and it was just gonna be another one of those classic it was over before you know it type tunes, and it's exactly what it was. It starts off with some really fun R2D2 sounds that you and I both love, the cheap little, digitized sounds. So it had that, but it also had like horns that eventually, like, and shortly thereafter showed up, which were really interesting. Some elongated, sustained synthy sounds as well. Um, that kind of switched or then incorporated to like organ type sound, as well as these like wah laden guitar notes that echo over the soundscape. And there was like this frictious sound as well. I don't know if that was a true instrument or if that was a patched in sound, but it definitely had one of those like auxiliary sort of like hand percussion thing sounds to it. Also, really simple, but such an elegant, clean bass line throughout this. It switched a couple of times, but they were both lines were rooted in the same thing. It was more about the space to breathe between notes, was really the difference between the two major bass parts in this, but it was so pretty, and in its own way hooky, because I found myself just humming that bass line as it was going through, and I loved that. There's this element of like blurriness, and I know that that connotes a visual medium, but there's this idea where one of these sounds comes in out of focus, but then as it proceeds, it comes into focus, and then kind of blurs back out, and that's some of the ways that they bring things in and out of the song, and I really enjoyed that too. I thought that was really clever, and fun to experience and to notice as it's happening in real time. Things kind of quiet down. Oh no, you know what else? That kind of dawned on me as I was about close to 3 minutes into this is like I know the song title is All I Need, and the band's name is Air, but the song sounded like Air. Like there was this like the approach to how things came and went was like a breeze, or the way humidity might lift in the atmosphere. There was something airy about all of the way everything was deployed that I thought was really interesting, because usually that's like a song title will connote the feeling or the atmosphere of a song, but in this case it was the band. But either way, really fun to experience this kind of airy nature to it. That rears its head again later, this airy thing, and I'll get to that in a bit. Things quiet down a little as we approach the 320 mark, with most of the instruments and sound kind of cutting out completely, save for some key work. Then light cymbal work can be heard, as well as some really great bass work. And this marks a shift where we get some like now acoustic guitar that's really pretty, and this beautiful airy female voice that comes in that her voice kind of reminded me of one or maybe two other artists that you've given me in the past. I can't quite put my finger on who it was. I don't know if it was one of um the features of like one of the female vocalists on a Massive Attack song.
Massive
Um
Attack, yeah.
yeah, but it had that essence to it. And I really loved that delivery. It was almost like so here exists and has existed for some time this music, right, at the point where she joins it, and her voice falls on it like a feather would fall from the sky and hit the earth, and the music is the earth that it lands on and just rides with it. It was so great. I really did enjoy her voice, and they did some uh it was her voice, but it was multi-tracked, so it was almost like her own voice was harmonizing with herself at times. And I thought that was some really, great production and layering work, editing work in the mix. Um, and there's also the drums, like again shift to like cymbal from shift from the cymbals to like this rim, almost like a rim hit that's just sort of keeping time. But it's not annoying at all. It's sometimes rim hits when done over like are overdone. It's like, all right, I get you. You're back there. You're just clicking. But no, it sounded really good. The use of like ancillary sounds being peppered in throughout the mix is like a
Yeah.
reoccurring
Loads
motif.
of them, yeah.
So many of them, and it's a reoccurring motif. But I'm noticing this like I don't think it is this, but the closest thing I could compare it to is like a flute-like sound, because it was higher in register, and sustained. And I thought that was really cool and interesting, along with the myriad other ones that have been deployed throughout the song. The sustained key sounds adds like such a rich depth to the mix, but there is this warbling low frequency sound as well that is really interesting and engaging to the ear. And it has like a wah effect of its own going
Yeah.
on. You know, the closest thing I could compare it to is a wah. It's definitely got some wah, 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 but it's lower. It's not that wah, wah, wah. Really cool stuff, and I loved that.
Yeah.
It grows in intensity, and it's like to the point where it's like again it's like this out of focus into focus thing, where it's this thing that's like, it's back there, but you can't really like, you can't really silhouette it, you can't really draw parameters around it, but then as it comes into focus you can, and it kind of commands your attention even more. And this all continues for a bit until we just reach this fade out of the song, and just kind of fades to silence. And yeah, it's just another example of one of these tracks that is just a assemble sound on top of sound and layers them, and judiciously introduces fades and then reintroduces the sounds and the effects throughout it. Um, the track takes on this feeling of being on a journey, while also having this trance-like appeal to it. And her vocals also add this kind of mystic appeal as well. Um, I can only, listening to this, it's so easy to just get lost in the experience, and before you know it, it's over. That was, I think I compared it to like, when your alarm goes off and you just want 10 more minutes and you hit the sleep button, but that is the shortest goddamn 10 minutes you've ever experienced in your life. Any other 10-minute interval in the rest of that day after you wake up from your alarm is comparatively much longer feeling than the 10 minutes you tried to get a respite in your, of extra sleep. And that's what it kind of felt like. It was just there. It just happened so quickly. Um, I really, really enjoyed it. This is another one of those where it's not, this isn't radio friendly, but it is ear friendly. And I would go back and check this out again. And I always like equate these to like doing stuff songs. Like if I have to do something and I want to eat up minutes while I'm doing it because of the monotony of the task involved, this is going to be a track that I put on to just get lost in, lose 8 minutes, and enjoy every minute of just like that being quickly eaten up by time, because this helps things go by more quickly because of how easy it is to just melt into it, and then before you know it, oh shit, it's over. I should have put this on repeat. I could eat up 16 minutes. And it's just that enjoyable and kind of easy to kind of it lulls you into it. And yeah, I just enjoyed it a lot, man. This is a lot of fun. Super trancy, super atmospheric, great stuff.
Cool. I will say I'm probably the opposite of you. If I would put this on, it was because I'm about to sip some cocktails on the veranda of a country mansion with an orange and purple sunset, or I'm off on the cliff tops of a beachy head, just watching clouds. There you go.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it would absolutely work in those situations. I would listen to this happily in either of those two scenarios. But yeah, there's something about how it eats up a block of time in such an enjoyable way. And if I have to do something that's going to be, mind numbing, give me something to enjoy while I'm doing it. This would be a go-to for that for sure.
Yeah, this is a really interesting band, great band. I think their first two albums in particular are really, really cool. And they kind of kickstarted the down tempo trend at the end of the 90s. It was really them. And this that launched 1,000 sort of, musical interludes in TV programs where they'd use music from their first album. And then their second album is really interesting as well. And they bring to the fore some of the other influences, most notably like Pink Floyd and other stuff. Really interesting. So they are a band duo, French duo from Versailles, and they consist of Nicolas Godin and Jean-Benoit Dunkel. So they are associated with a variety of music styles: electronica, space pop, dream pop, progressive rock, down-tempo, chill-out, trip hop, ambient, electronic pop, and space rock. So Nicolas Godin studied architecture at the École nationale supérieure d'architecture de Versailles, and Jean-Benoit Dunkel studied mathematics. Before they formed, they're in some other stuff as well, but they formed a band in 1995. After sort of doing bits of their own stuff and remixes for other acts in the first half of the 90s, they recorded their first EP, Premiere Symptoms, in 1995. And the band released their first album, Moon Safari, in 1998, which this comes from. The album Moon Safari was voted Album of the Year by the Face magazine and Select. It was in the top 10 list in Spin, Melody Maker, NME, and Mojo. And Rolling Stone ranked it 93 in the best albums of the 90s. So, just to get an idea of this album, it's a really cool album. So there's a single called Sexy Boy, which is sort of cheeky, funky French, heavy on sort of Moogie synth, nonsense lyrics, and that got huge airplay. And then there are other stuff came in. There's how many? Is there four instrumental tracks on this album, which is really unusual. But it was just it seemed to be everywhere. It was the musical equivalent of a really cool coffee table book. Everyone seemed to have it. So here's some of the reviews, and there's two contrasting reviews here, and I mean contrasting styles. So first one is a wanky review in terms of how it's written, and prizes for guessing where this comes from. Pitchfork. But it's interesting what is written. So it goes like this: analog, aquatic, bulbous, blue, breathy, cloud scraper, crystal, Casio, dewy, deliquescent, dulcet, ethereal, effervescent, elastic, French, floating, grassy, gravity, groove, hotel, holograph, Holland, indiglow, Iceland, ingenious, Japanese, jingle, juicy, kitsch, kitchen, kissing, lounge, lazy, liquid, moog, mood, martini, naughty, nylon, nymph, organic, oval, plastic, pompous, Parisian, quasar, quondam, quixotic, retro, rococo, robot, synthetic, synth, sylvan, terry cloth, tinsel, tea time, underwear, underground, universe, viscous, vaporous, velvety, wet, wanton, waterfall, xylophone, xenogenic, X chromosome, young eyed, yacht, yester, zipper, zestful, zodiac, rock, drips like sugary dew and melted cheese from every second of Moon Safari. Anyway, BBC, bit
This,
more,
I
more
love
sort
that.
of grounded.
I love there's this rapper Papoose who does this rap that's like all of the like the alphabet, and he does like different
Yeah,
words,
yeah.
and this is like the critics version of that where they're just
You
using,
can
oh
bet
god,
they
it's
were
so
so
cheesy.
goddamn pleased with themselves with
I
that.
know, I'm sure they
Oh,
were. That is
and I
wanky.
thought, shall I include this? And I thought, yes, I've got to, just to show this is why I hate Pitchfork. So, BBC wrote something a bit more grounded. What Air achieved may seem simple now, but at the time was deceptively clever. In true Gallic fashion, they melded cheese with cool, making the two indistinguishable. The bubbling synths, lush strings, and funky lounge core Fender Rose all were signifiers for the contemporary trend for reclaiming the easy listening schlock of the early 70s. But somehow Nicolas Godin and Jean-Benoit Jean-Benoit Dunkel created the perfect blend for post-clubbing languor. It's not just one great fondue, though. When guest vocalist Beth Hirsch sang on All I Need, the tune could almost break your stimulant weary heart.
Mm.
So here's where I cheated a little bit. So on their debut 1997 EP, Premier Symptoms, track 4 is called Les Professionnels. And the latter minute of that instrumental track was then used as the basis for the song All I Need. This extended version starts with the original song, Les Professionnels, and then it morphs into All I Need, the album version, at 3 minutes 36. So basically, when the acoustic guitar starts,
Okay.
that's the song proper. So what you got is the beginnings and workings of how they created this song in the first song, going in the second one. So all the cute, cool stuff with the wild and the euphonium going, bah, 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 is from the original. And then as soon as you get the acoustic guitar, it's the album version of All I Need. But I thought it would be cool for you to experience both of them together, sort of merging into one, as it were.
I feel like this
So
is the way
yeah,
it
and
should
it's
be.
pretty.
This
Yeah, yeah,
should be the final product because it was. I mean, I noticed that line of demarcation, but that's okay.
yeah,
Like it does it. You know, it didn't. It
yeah.
wasn't to me jarring or like, whoa, this is a tale of two
Yeah.
songs in one. It was just, a point
So
in it.
you got a two for
Yeah,
you got a
well,
2 for 1,
I did.
and
I
an
did.
instrumental and a song.
And I enjoyed
So
both.
just from the liner notes on both records, Nicolas Godin played bass, mini moog, acoustic guitar, organ, drums, and Salona string ensemble, which I looked up is a fully polyphonic multi-instrument, multi-orchestral synthesizer with 49-key keyboard. The sound it incorporates are violin, viola, trumpet, horn, cello, and contrabass. The keyboard uses organ-style divide-down technology to make it polyphonic. The built-in chorus effect gives the instrument its distinctive sound. So now you know. And Jean-Benoit Dunkel played Rhodes piano, Selena string ensemble, Wurlitzer organ, and a Korg MS-20. Vocals were by Beth Hirsch, and Patrick Woodcock played also another acoustic guitar and euphonium, which is that you heard, the much maligned euphonium.
Yeah.
So lyrics, very, very simple. All I need is a little time to get behind this sun and cast my weight. All I need's a piece of this mind, then I can celebrate. All in all, there's something to give. All in all, there's something to give. All in all, there's something to do. All in all, there's something to do. All in all, there's something to live with you, with you. Oh, etc. All I need is a little sign to get behind the sun and cast this way to mine. Get behind the sun. All I need is the place to find, and there I celebrate. All in all, there's something to give. All in all, there's something to give. Also with you. Oh, and then she goes, all I need, and it sort of slows down. And then, as you say, that rather particular synth bit comes in, which I describe as a modulating, almost pulsating synth part that goes wow, 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 wow. That is my favorite bit of the whole song. The way it comes in, grows, wraps around your head, and then dissipates is just beautiful. And it fades out. So yeah, I always thought, listen to this, it's really, her vocals are very sort of, as you say, breathy and very sort of laden with almost pathos. And when you say you pointed out exactly, they multi-track her voice, and she's almost harmonizing against herself. You get those old 80s videos where they get like the mirrored effect that goes behind them.
Yeah,
it's almost
yeah.
like her vocals are reaching out. And the bits where the instruments sort of come in and out and fade, as you say, and do all the, it's all, you're getting little snatches of memories. That's the way I feel about it. And she's talking about bits of a relationship and all I need. And you always get, you're feeling you're getting these little nuggets that float into your mind. And then as you try to hold on to them, they go. And the next bit comes in. That's the kind of impression I get.
No, that makes perfect sense.
Somebody. So Beth Hirsch is a singer-songwriter from Tampa, Florida. In 1991, she moved to Paris to work as an au pair, where she became involved in the local bohemian artistic community. It was in Paris where she discovered her own singing talent. So she began her solo recording career with an EP called Minor Sun, released in 1998. The EP was heard by some neighbors of hers, Nicholas Godin and John Benoit Dunkel. And so they enlisted her in to collaborate on their first album, and she co-wrote and sung vocals on 2 tracks, All I Need and You Make It Easy. So that's quite cool. She's gone on to do other stuff as well, but this probably is the high point of her career. And she's got a great voice. I don't know why, I guess it's the music as well. But after this, they've released 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more albums. Second album, 10,000 Hertz Legend, 2001, is a Bobby Dazzler, and I will be picking a track off that for you, and it's different.
Okay.
This.
Okay.
Different.
Cool. Well, I look forward to
but really interesting. They also provided the score to Sofia Coppola's 1999 directorial debut, The Virgin Suicides. They did the soundtrack to that, and there's a song off that which is amazing, really cool. Just as sort of they have cited many artists as their mainstay influences. You won't be surprised to hear some of them you will be. Kraftwerk, Serge Gainsbourg, Susie and the Banshees, Joy Division, David Bowie, Iggy Pop, Lou Reed, obviously, Brian Eno, Cluster, Maurice Ravel, Michel Legrand, Philip Glass, Grace Jones, The Beatles, Sly and the Family Stone, and Pink Floyd. They are still performing to present day, and I just read a write-up in the Guardian newspaper from June this year, where they're touring. They're doing their 2024 tour, and as part of that, they play the whole of this album live. The Guardian described it as a wild, jaw-dropping, widescreen extravaganza. So yeah, they're still going strong.
That's terrific.
So there you go. That's it.
Do they collaborate with a lot of other vocalists, or is it just Beth from Tampa?
I'm trying to think. There's another guy, God, who does some really deep, weird stuff. A lot of the time, you use what's it called, a vocoder. So you have that sort of artificial voice thing. Yeah. They do that on some of their tracks with varying degrees of success. There's a song on this album called Remember, which kind of melts together ELO and the Beach Boys in a sort of synthy way. It's like got the beat to Do It Again by the Beach Boys, but it's done in a synthy, weird, dancey way. And then you've got this sort of ELO lush string stuff, and very interesting. Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, I'm trying to rack my brains. I can't think of any other female vocalists that they have worked with. I'm not overly familiar with like Love 2 and Love Dance Legend as well. So it could be stuff on there, but I don't think so. Anyone knows? Drop a comment.
Yeah.
Right, I shall wrap things up. Thanks for listening
Alrighty.
to this.
Thank you.
Andy, folks out there, tell us what you think. If you like this, please do hit the like button and drop some comments about this song, about the album, which kind of became a bit of a cultural focus at the end of the 90s for various reasons. But yeah, it was ubiquitous in many circles. Tell us what you think. Love to hear from you. Love all your comments. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. Sacre bleu. What are you waiting for? We really appreciate everyone who does support the channel, by the way. And that being said, thanks again so much for watching. And we'll see all of you on the next episode of the Audiophiles.
We'll see you later, guys.